We call it dating, but no one talks about the silent expectation attached to it. And that's why you keep getting hurt. The origin of the word dating. Let's get into it. Time. You can't press rewind. Time. What's up, y'all? Peace and puzzle here. Hope this piece gives you peace. Share, like, love. Welcome back to Message Architect, where we break down messages to build up for clarity to make better choices. Look at the description for what the video is about, and you can follow me on other platforms and all that great stuff. Other than that, let's hop into it. This is about understanding messages because we consume with our eyes, we consume with our ears, we consume what we touch. And nowadays, we're consuming what people are doing. But did you not know that the message you're giving is coming from an origin of why it keeps ending the way it ends? If we understand a word, I think we can make better choices. And the word we're going to talk about today is dating. Ta-da! What is that word? What's going on here? So let's jump right into it. We're going to go into the word dating. And do you want to call it that? And how we want to transition that into courtship and why. So let's go. Now the word dating comes from the early 1900s where they used this term in a transactional situation. Meaning there was a man that will also pay a girl for her time and attention. He would take her out and give her food, gifts, money to spend time with her. These girls was called charity girls. And what was often wanting at the end is what we could call a happy ending. Meaning dating originally comes from a prostitutional type of transactional system. It wasn't direct prostitution, but the exchange was in the hopes of ending the night in a special way, if you get my drift. Wink, wink, hint, hint. Hence the term dating, because even the word dating goes to date, meaning calendar date, month, time, year. It was a schedule. So when these men were giving gifts and exchanging money to spend time, it would be scheduled and even adopted by escort along with prostitution. That's where it's called dating. It's a scheduled hookup. So datings comes from them scheduling, hooking up with someone to spend time, not for romance, not to build a relationship. It was just to be with somebody, buying their time. And she got money, gifts, food out of that exchange. And hopefully, in his regard of, we can have a happy ending. So when you are dating, and that's what you say you're doing, that is the power you're putting the process of you trying to get to know somebody under that system. You wonder why you fail. So that's why we got to change over the mindset of what you're doing and call it that. Because once you call it something, watch how people react and respond when you call it. When you call it courting, troughing, or getting to know each other to build a relationship. Don't call it dating no more. Start reframing your words to call it something else and watch the change. Watch how you change. Watch your perspective. Plus, why would you go on a date with someone you don't even know? Going back to strangers, just linking together. So at the end of the day, that's why they call it dating. Even amongst that system, prostitutes used to adapt or use the word date to get someone because it was a nicer way to get a customer. Hey, you would like a hot date tonight? Hey, you want a date tonight? Yeah. And then a prostitute would say to her pimp or say to another person, hey, you got a date tonight? Yeah, I got a date. And it was also a way to make it sound nicer. See, we just use terms to make it nice. So when you do go out on a date and we have men saying like, man, I spent this money tonight, this and third, whatever. They want what? What do they want at the end of the night? Yeah, I bought steak and wine. I spent $500, this and third, $300, $200. Some people, that's where they at. $800. Whatever they spent that night, it's like, so, you know, when we come up for a cup of coffee, because there's an expectation. The silent expectation behind dating. So it's a prostitutional type of expectation, you know? So that's why if I spend this money, it's a transaction. It's not a connection. It's not even a relationship. Thus, if you do go on a date and there is an exchange of him taking you out and then you give him some. I don't care if it's 3 days later or 3 weeks later. At the end of the day, what's the mindset of a man? When you say I'm going on a date, you're attaching to the process, which is a spirit of prostitution connected to it. Because the word dating comes from what they was doing back then. A lot of people think that origin of words don't matter. The origin of all words do matter, even if you think you changed the meaning. So at the end of the day, you are speaking over your situation. How about that? So, men, first, you want to take her out because she looks good. And if you are saying, I'm going to take you out next week, I want to take you out tonight because of a surface-based attraction, you are going to mess it up if you have an expectation of sex. That means you are what's the Bible call a whoremonger. You are paying for an expectation of, I hope I get some tonight. And that's what it is. It makes your attempt of relationship very weak. Women, if you are looking for a man to court you, not date you, then you must do the following. And if you are in a situation where you're under pressure, ladies, to go home with him, this is now operating under the attitude and the spirit of a whore. Are you one? No. So don't do what whores do. If you are being tricked in what I call manipulating logic, meaning, well, it's not exchanged because I'm being pleased and you're being pleased. It's not about pleasure. It's about what I want. What he wants is sex. What you want is a relationship. Are you getting that? No. So this is not exchange of I get what I want and you're getting pleased too. You get what you want, because that's not what you really want. Over time, you keep doing it. It becomes what? Trained, and becomes the norm. And then you turn around called a hoe. And lady, the number one sign that you are going through this recycling is because after you done gave it up, because now it becomes your temptation, because now you want some. Now you've been trained and you ask this question, do you still like me? Or you might say things like, I never did this before. Now you have to shape the woman you want him to see versus you actually being that woman. And you ask these questions because you're now looking for reassurance for a relationship that you really want, but you just can't get it that way. You got to do it the right way. So you got to ask yourself the value that you are bringing and what you want. Don't let it be the value to a moment of pleasure, because once a man likes you, we have an area that we don't know if we like you because we like you or we lust after. There's a moment. More mature men know more about how they feel. More immature men don't know. Ladies, if you give him time to get to know you with his spirit, his mind, to penetrate your mind, your spirit, if you give him time, that like will also be coupled with love, and he can now go into a depth of commitment. Yeah, I call it death because he's going to become in a position of dying to himself, because now he wants to share his life with you. The thing is, his liking you can die at the bedroom because it never grew. That's why most men, they don't come back. Most men, they don't want you no more if you give it up, and especially if you give it up too soon. But the longer you hold out, which is all the way to the jump in the broom, that means he can now die in the right way. And that's what is called loving your wife like Christ loved the church. What a depth he is willing to take, he is what he really wants to do. Not out of pressure, but out of desire. And one more thing is, a man that has sex with you after these exchanges, slowly but surely, he don't come back. Because do you come back to a prostitute after you get what you got? No. He's going to call you when he wants some. So, ladies, help the man allow his like to be coupled with love, which he will begin to have a revelation about when he gets to know you. If you're the one, and he might walk away saying you're not the one. But if you are, this is going to go into a relationship of love, not a sexual encounter of liking something. It's about knowing his heart on what he does. So women, you must go into a situation making it clear of what you're trying to say. And how you dress is the message. So what you do on what message you're trying to get. If you are looking a certain way, what are you saying to this person? If you want him to get to know you, then show you. If you want him to get to know what's underneath that dress, then that's what you're going to show. and that's what he's going to expect. So that's why I want to present the word courting. Dating has a transactional undertone, meaning, women, I will give you my time. Where are we going tonight? What? I'm not going. That's a transactional undertone. If it's about getting to know him, then it doesn't matter where he takes you, as long as it's safe and respectable. But you don't want to get caught up in the transactional, thinking like, oh, because he took me here, that's what my life is going to be about. Do not dilute to be delusional to your own understanding, because you will go from dating to dating to dating. And because of the happy moments in dating, the happy tone kind of dilutes and blurs this exchange of he's paying you for your time. So what does dating do? Dating gives you a value exchange dynamic. And this is where dating builds relationships on an exchange instead of alignment. And that's where it loses purpose. That's where the relationship don't have power. That's where someone is trying to get over, which often get us into this other relationship that I'm going to talk about in another video. Investigation shit. You want to court. Women, you want to be courted. Now, this does not mean there is a way to court. Everybody has their level of courting, because you have your level of income. You have your, where do you live at? If you live in a very country area where there's no city, you're going to court differently than you're living in an area that is a city or a township. If you make $50,000 a year, women, he's only going to court you according to his income. Women, how can you show your affections back if you do not have some income to show of what's in your heart? You know what I mean? Things you want to do. Give him gifts or do anything to show support on his ideas or whatever the case may be. Not just birthdays and Christmas, but just because situations. Then you got the experience. There's some men and women, you would travel a lot. So your vast knowledge of where to go is very knowledgeable. But they got some people that don't know that much. They don't been that way. Maybe they work a lot. Maybe they're workaholics. So he might show you a good time, a fun time, and it might not be as much. But then you have an opportunity to discover life together. So you have all these dynamics of income, geographics, and experience, meaning you are going to experience each other. Courting is experiencing each other. It's not an exchange on what I can get out of you. It's how can I serve you? How can I and get to know you? And this courtship is already going down to the ultimate goal, which is what we call marriage. Now, the word court comes from an old European language meaning to seek favor, pursue with intention, and present yourself for approval. You're seeking favor. You're pursuing with intentions. You know what you're doing and why you're getting to know her, and you know where it's going. That's not a situationship. You can't court in a situation. And then your presence of approval, meaning you're going to get approved by her father and her family. Courting a woman structure, meaning often presence awareness with family in a community. You just didn't take her out. You went out with the family. The family went somewhere and you went with them. Your family goes somewhere and you say, hey, you want to come with us? See, this is where families get to meet who you're interested in, and that keeps everything safe. That keeps everything informed, and everybody get to ask questions that you probably are not thinking about. And somebody can ask him questions, or we get to know him, and then you see how you see the expectation. Maybe you see where she's coming from, and now you understand what lifestyle, what things she used to, or what you could bring to her life. And you go to him to see where he's at and where he's going from, and what he's used to, and what you could bring to him. This is where courtship happens. Remember, ship means direction. So I'm courting in a sense of your family and community approving the relationship. See, courting is everybody being in agreement. Okay? Is friendship important in a relationship? In a romantic relationship? 100%. But friendships often helps you get to what we relate on, how we connect. Leadership on both ends. We're going to learn how to lead and guide this relationship to a specific goal. Then you got courtship, which is what? The process of intentional pursuit. And that's where you learn to work it out. That's when you learn to talk, having hard conversations. That's when you don't run because we made a decisions to be with each other. And if you do arrive at a moment that, hey, this ain't work out, it's because of a thorough process, not because he ain't put it down right last night. It's not because you saw one red flag. It's not about that. It's about us learning each other and us courting each other, meaning we're working out to pursue intentional on this relationship. That's hopefully can be a marriage. So what do we end up with? Dating is about access. Courtship is about approval. You can't mix the two because that's when lines get blurry. That's when you can't judge correctly. And that's when manipulation, even unintentionally, can begin because some people manipulate themselves. So all in all, you can't date. Don't date. Men, you want to pursue, you taking the initiative to be with someone you actually like, love, with intentional actions, and be consistent. Women, you don't want to date, but you want to show yourself accessible of being courted through character development, through showing yourself available to one particular person, not everybody. Because if you look like you just want attention from anybody and everybody, you're going to get attention from someone else. And it's not going to be the person that actually looks at you with seriousness. So you want to be courted with putting yourself out there. And there is a different initiation that a woman can do that doesn't have to be direct. It's looking available and giving signs of availability. Like you might be at the gym and you like this guy and y'all talk for a little bit and you might say something like, man, I come here every Friday at 6:00. Women are very secure on their security. So if she told you something specific, especially about where she's going to be at, my man, pop up. If you like her and you begin to make intention. All right. So this is when we break down a word and we build up for clarity to make better decisions in life. This piece of the puzzle, and I hope this piece gave you time.